Tom Hauser here with another midweek blessing. Hey, I went on an adventure last weekend. I went backpacking with a friend of mine, Reed. We were out at Zaleski State Forest for 3 days and 2 nights, carrying everything that we needed on our backs, and it was hard. And what was particularly hard was Friday evening, around 7 o'clock. It started raining just a little bit, but the forecast looked like it might rain more. And so Reed had this idea. He took his kind of army-style poncho and tied the hood of it up really tight so that water wouldn't get through it. We took our hiking sticks and we flipped them upside down so the points were sticking up. We stuck those points through the grommets on the 4 corners of this poncho and then used paracord to tie those corners down. And we ended up with a lean-to to sit underneath while it rained. And it rained and it rained and it rained that night. So without that, we would have had 2 options. First, get really wet. Or second, stay in our tents for an extra few hours, which neither one of us wanted to do. Instead, we got to sit outside in God's creation under a waterproof lean-to with a fire burning, and we could just hang out and be together, which was awesome. And it occurred to me that evening that it's good to do things with people who have done those things before. It's good to do new things, go new places, try new things with people for whom it's not new, that they've done this before. It's not, there's nothing that mysterious about it for them. And Reed's one of those guys. He does outdoor stuff a lot, especially when he was younger. So for him, he had done this before. This was no big deal. For me, it never would have occurred to me. I never would have thought of doing it, but it ended up being a great thing. And not only is that true when you're backpacking, it's good to backpack with someone who's done it before, but it's true in all kinds of parts of life, to know people that have been married longer than you've been married or have been parents longer than you've been parents. People have been through different work situations, people that have had life experience that you haven't had so that you can learn from them. And it's also good to be that person for someone else, to teach someone else how to be married for 30 years. To teach someone else what it looks like to get through the teenage years with your kids, to teach someone how you respond when you lose your job or you get a new job or you get a promotion or a demotion, to be the kind of person that'll walk beside someone else who hasn't been there yet and give them that knowledge that you've got. Well, the same thing is true, it occurred to me, with regard to the spiritual life. Then when it comes to spiritual things, it's really important that we have someone to walk with us who has walked the road before. Someone who has experienced some of the things that we're going to experience in the spiritual realm, of someone who's experienced how to forgive in a godly way, how to show kindness in a godly way, how to be involved with a church or get engaged with a life group or love your spouse appropriately, how to raise your kids in a godly way. How to pray, how to tithe, how to fast, how to serve, how to do the things of the Christian life. It's important that we find someone that we can be with, that we can ask questions of, that we can walk through that with, that we can experience it with them. And it's also good for us who have been some of those places before to find someone that we can help along. Find someone that we can hang out with and not only tell them how these things work, but show them how these things work and do these things with them. There's a great benefit in being the kind of person who seeks out help from experienced people and to be the kind of person who is the experienced person and seeks out people to pass that experience along to. It reminds me of a great passage from 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, where Paul is talking to his young protege, Timothy, and he says, hey, all these things that I've taught you, these things that you've seen in me, that I've shown you, I want you to pass these along to reliable people who will then pass those along to more reliable people. Paul's specifically talking about the things of faith. And he's encouraging Timothy to not just keep what he's learned to himself, but to pass it along to the next person. And make sure that that person you choose then is able to pass it along to the next person. Man, I'm really grateful that Reed had already experienced this idea of using a poncho as a lean-to tarp so we could stay out of the rain. I'm also appreciative of so many people who have gone before me that have shown me how to live the Christ-filled life, a Christ-centered life. Without them, I don't know how I would have learned it. And I would encourage you to find such a person and to be such a person for someone else. Until next time, peace, friends.